I had been traveling for almost 12 hours straight. My body was sore and my mind was exhausted. All I wanted was to collapse onto the hotel bed and forget the world. But as soon as I stepped into room 407, something felt off. The air was colder than the hallway, almost unnaturally so, and a strange silence settled over me like a heavy blanket. I set my suitcase down and tried to shrug off the unease. "It's just a hotel," I told myself. "Old buildings make noises. Old heating systems creak. Nothing to worry about." I turned on the lights. The room was simple, clean, nothing unusual. But then I noticed the mirror. It wasn't reflecting the room exactly. It felt darker, as if it were absorbing the light. A shiver ran down my spine, but I shook it off. After unpacking, I decided to shower. Steam filled the small bathroom, fogging the mirror completely. For a moment, I felt safe. The warmth was comforting, but as I stepped out, I heard it, a faint creak, like someone shifting their weight in the hallway. "Probably maintenance," I whispered, but the creaking continued, deliberate, slow. Step, 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 closer. My heart started racing. I grabbed my phone and checked the time. 2:13 a.m. Who else would be walking the hall at this hour? Panic started to rise. I considered calling the front desk, but something in my gut stopped me. Then came a whisper, soft, almost indistinguishable, coming from the room next door. "Hello." My blood ran cold. I froze in the middle of the room. My mind scrambled for rational explanations. Maybe it was a neighbor, maybe a prank call over the intercom. But the voice wasn't coming from the phone. It was real. It was there. I tiptoed to the door, pressing my ear against it. Nothing. Silence. And then the whisper again. Closer this time. Urgent. Desperate. "Please." I stumbled back. The room suddenly felt suffocating, the walls pressing in on me. I wanted to leave, to run out into the hallway, but fear rooted me to the spot. My fingers fumbled with the light switch, and when I looked out the window, the street was empty. Not a soul in sight. I called the front desk anyway. The voice on the line was cheerful, completely oblivious to my panic. "Is everything okay, sir?" I stammered, trying to explain the noises. They assured me no one else was in that wing. My rational mind tried to take control, but the feeling of being watched was overwhelming. I crawled into bed, pulling the blankets over my head, trying to convince myself it was all in my imagination. But then I heard it again, the soft, deliberate creaking, moving closer around the corner of the room. I peeked over the edge of the blanket. The room was empty, and yet the whisper followed me. "I'm here." My chest tightened. I couldn't breathe. Every instinct screamed to leave, to run as far away as possible. But my body refused to move. Then I noticed something chilling. The door to the next room was slightly ajar. The hotel chain was strict about locking every door. How could this happen? And worse, the room number, 406. The room next door. My stomach turned. I thought about banging on the wall, screaming for help, but the words wouldn't come out. The silence of the hotel seemed to swallow my voice. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. The whisper stopped. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I grabbed my suitcase and ran to the hallway, desperate for light, for people, for safety. The hallway was empty. But then I noticed something etched into the wall near room 406. Words scratched with a key or something sharp. I never left. I stumbled backward, my hand on my chest. Fear gripped me completely. I ran to the elevator, hitting the button frantically, and when the doors opened, I didn't even care who I might meet. I just pressed every floor button, desperate to get somewhere, anywhere. By the time I got to the lobby, I was shaking, tears in my eyes. The night manager looked at me strangely. I barely managed to check out before I even got my key back. Later, curiosity got the better of me. I asked the receptionist about room 406. Her eyes widened. That room. No one has stayed there in years. A guest died there under unusual circumstances. We've been keeping it empty ever since I couldn't sleep for days. Every time I closed my eyes, I could hear the creaking, the whisper, and those words etched into the wall. I never left. Even now, I avoid hotels whenever I can, and if I ever have to stay in one again, I make sure never to get a room next to 406. It started with a soft buzz late at night. I was curled up on my couch, scrolling through my phone, when the screen lit up with an unknown number. I hesitated. Who could it be at this hour? I almost ignored it, but something made me swipe answer. The voice on the other side was faint at first, then chillingly clear. I'm watching you. I froze. My hands trembled. I laughed nervously, trying to convince myself it was a prank. Who is this? I asked. No reply, just the faintest whisper, like a shadow passing through the room. Over the next few nights, the calls continued, always from unknown numbers, always late at night, always the same voice, calm, cold, eerily knowing. You shouldn't be alone, it would say. At first, I thought it was someone playing a cruel joke. But then came the details only I could know. The way I kept my keys on the counter, the picture of my late grandmother on the wall, even the small dent on my coffee table. Panic set in. How could they know this? I never shared this with anyone. The thought of a stranger inside my home watching me was unbearable. I called the police. They traced the number. My stomach dropped. The call was originating from my own house. I couldn't breathe. My apartment felt like a trap. Every creak, every flicker of light made me jump. I stayed awake for nights, listening. Every sound, dripping faucet, the hum of the refrigerator felt amplified, sinister. One night, I left every light on and hid in the closet, phone in hand, heart racing. The call came. The voice said softly, "You can't hide." The door handle rattled. My mind screamed at me to run, but my legs refused to obey. Time slowed. Every second was a lifetime. Then, silence. Nothing. I opened the closet. Everything was normal, yet I knew it wasn't. I tried leaving the apartment, staying with friends. But the calls followed. They always knew where I was. It wasn't just a prank. It was personal. I eventually installed cameras. Nothing unusual appeared during the day, but at night, shadows moved where they shouldn't. Lights flickered without cause, and the calls continued. Weeks later, I discovered the building's history. Years ago, a former tenant had died under mysterious circumstances. Rumor had it that she had a fixation on watching others obsessively, even after death. The realization hit me. The calls weren't random. They weren't just technology. Something or someone had chosen me. Even now, I keep my phone off at night. I never answer unknown numbers. And every time my phone buzzes unexpectedly, I feel that same icy dread crawl over my skin. I'm watching you. Those words have followed me ever since. It was supposed to be a fun weekend getaway. My friends and I were driving through the countryside, looking forward to a night in a small cabin near the forest. The road was narrow, winding, and lined with tall trees whose branches, twisted like fingers, in the moonlight. The night was unusually silent. No crickets, no owls, just the faint hum of our car engine. The fog rolled in thick, and the headlights barely cut through the dense mist. I laughed nervously at my own fear, trying to lighten the mood. Then I saw her, a woman standing alone in the middle of the road, white dress flowing, pale as the fog around her. At first, I thought she might be a hitchhiker or perhaps a lost traveler. "Hey, are you okay?" I shouted as I slowed down. She didn't respond. She didn't even turn her head. She just stood there, motionless, staring directly at us. My friends laughed nervously, joking about a prank, but I felt my stomach twist. Something was wrong. We stopped the car. The fog thickened, swallowing the trees around us. When we blinked, she was gone. Just vanished. "Did she just disappear?" my friend whispered, voice shaking. I nodded, unable to speak. The hairs on my arm stood up. Something in the air was heavy, oppressive. A chill ran down my spine, colder than the night should have been. We drove on slowly, hearts pounding, trying to shake off the fear. But the road seemed endless, the fog unrelenting. Every shadow between the trees looked like a figure waiting to step out. Suddenly, a sound, soft, almost imperceptible, came from the trees. A whispering, like dozens of voices speaking at once, just beyond the edge of the headlights. My grip on the steering wheel tightened. "Maybe it's just the wind," I muttered, but no one believed me. Then we saw her again. Same place, same white dress, standing perfectly still as if she had never moved at all. I slammed the brakes. My friends were silent now, eyes wide with fear. "Turn back," one whispered. "We shouldn't go any further." We tried, but the car wouldn't start. The engine just turned over and died. Panic set in. The fog seemed to press in, and the whispers grew louder, more distinct. Words we couldn't understand, yet felt threatening, sinister. Out of instinct, I grabbed my flashlight and stepped out. The cold hit me like ice water. I scanned the road. Nothing. Then the light caught her again, just for a second. A pale face, empty eyes, lips curled into a faint, unnatural smile. I stumbled back into the car, slamming the door. The engine roared to life on its own, as if obeying some unseen force. We didn't stop until the forest was behind us, lights of the nearest town finally visible. The next day, we asked the locals about that stretch of road. Their faces went pale. "That road, don't drive there at night. Many have seen her, a woman in white. She was hit by a car decades ago. Some say she still walks the road, waiting, watching. Those who see her, they don't forget." We never drove that road again. And even now, whenever I see fog rolling in at night or a figure in white in the distance, my heart skips a beat. Some places carry the weight of the past, and some spirits never let go. The forest road is not just a path through trees. It's a memory, a warning, and sometimes a trap.